Hey, my name is Rei. Most people know who I am, at least the 4 people subscribed to my channel. I don't know anyone who else is, but I'm expecting that this video will blow up. If it doesn't blow up, then I guess I'm safe. For those who don't know, I am autistic, I'm trans, and a little bit of OCD, a little bit of ADHD, a little bit of everything. I usually go by they, them pronouns, but she, her is okay. My first name is Naomi, but I usually go by Rei, which is my middle name. And this is my garden. It's called life, dude. Anyway, I'm 30 years old. I'm old. I'm unsuccessful with my life in every facet of it. So when it comes to planning something like this and learning how to do farming or gardening of some sort, that keeps my high school dropout brain gears turning in terms of like knowledge. Today, at the recording of this date for this intro, is September the 10th. I basically had to spend the whole day lecturing myself on what I would go ahead and say, and I just could not think of a script. So this is kind of what we're gonna go with. So as I guess the message of this title states, Bok Choy and the Black Bears, or something around there. I guess normally some people would be scared of black bears, me generally not so much. I don't really technically have anything to live for, and I don't really value my life whatsoever. So I'm not really scared of the black bears at all. That said, I am clearly aware that black bears can hurt people and they harm people, and for people who value their lives, they would not do things that they normally would. Just because I don't value my life in particular doesn't mean that I don't take certainty on how I choose to end it or when that eventually will happen. For me, this whole channel was just about putting out content for people that would care should the unthinkable do happen eventually for me. And I wanted to leave something behind to immortalize myself for them if they were having a tough day and they have me to fall back on. There's only 4 people, clearly by only 4 people subscribe to the channel, but those 4 people probably, I mean more to those 4 people than anyone else in the whole wide world. So if you like this type of content, I don't do a lot of interesting stuff. I can't legally drive. I ride a bicycle for 36 miles a day for work, just about. So I probably won't do a whole lot of interesting things. This bears thing is kind of like a one-time deal, probably for a very long time. But if you want to keep watching what I do with my channel, I'll try to upload twice a week. We'll see. Comment, like, and subscribe. Enjoy. Love y'all. Take care. Enjoy the video. On to cooking bok choy. Alright, so we're in our mom's kitchen. We're gonna go ahead and make some bok choy, some white onion, some green pepper, some soy sauce, sesame seed oil, sriracha sauce. Normally you would want some garlic. I don't have any garlic cloves to mince today, or some mushrooms, so this is kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it in some ramen, so I'm not really too concerned with it. But first off, we'll start on dicing this, and dicing half of this. By the way, you should always wash off your bok choy, because typically most people do not clean these off. They send them dirty as is because that is where they're from. You'll wash off a bit of dirt, but there will be some stuff left off. This is perfectly fine though, but we're not going to eat the whole white stalk. Either save these seeds and replant them later on. It's a lot of seeds. Normally I would do that, but I don't have a little baggie on me and a dry station to dry them out for a couple days before putting them in a bag and then resowing them later. So we're just going to go ahead and slice down here on this wall and throw this out. So pro tip, if you have a paring knife, this will be super easy. I don't have a paring knife, so we're just going to use this, but you just kind of want to like cut all the way through. Of course, I can't do this with one hand, because you know I gotta hold the pepper and do that. But you just want to slice out the outer wall. Yeah, camera. Once it is free, I don't know why, but apparently the light just turned on. You just pull this out. You can either save the seeds and scrimple them out and then get rid of the flesh, or you can just throw it as is. Again, like I said, I don't have a station where I can dry this for about a couple days and then put it up in a bag, at least right now. At this point, you can cut this up anyway. I'll show you my preferred method. There's probably a better method to do this, but first of all, we'll cut these sides down, and that'll give us into 3 manageable pieces. But before we do that, we can chop up and dice this up. Now, this is a great time to go ahead and skim off this bit of flesh with your paring knife if you're using a paring knife. If not, you can leave it on. It usually doesn't bother anyone, but I kind of like to trim it off anyway, so that's probably what I'll do. I'll skim it off the top. Kind of like this, where you see where I have the flesh just cut up, and then I'm skimming it through, and I'll skim it up here. So what next you can either do is slice it like this, and then slice like that, or you can start this way, this way, this way, this way, and then go this way. We're going to do either one of those. It doesn't really matter at this point. But then we'll have diced. We'll put it in here, and we'll get started on the onion, which is right here. See what I mean? We're going to slice like here for these horizontal, vertical slices. And then for these horizontal ones, we'll slice like this. So we'll slice vertically across, and then horizontal across for these. It's pretty simple. Some disc color. Probably gonna chop this side off, kind of like this, and I'm probably gonna it's not like an even onion, which no onion is ever perfect, but I think in this case I'm gonna split it like this. I'm gonna chop it like this, not have any straight through the middle. Scratch that. So we're gonna cut it kind of like this between the lines, as you can see, like right here, here, and just kind of like rotate it all the way down, if that makes sense. So you see how we kind of have these slivers? I was going to originally like dice them, but I decided not to, as I wanted to have some sort of like girth in between having this, because we don't have any mushrooms to put in it. So this is just gonna be some supplemental chew. I also normally would recommend using like some sort of nut, like chopped like almonds or chopped walnuts or some sort of nut, or chopped peanuts. Even that'd be perfect for texture taste, but I don't have any of that either. So one of these days I might make my perfect bok choy batch for y'all. So again, we will be using the sriracha, the sesame seed oil, the low sodium soy sauce, the paprika, cayenne, red crushed chili peppers, normal salt, and black pepper, because these are all the ingredients I have. These are the ingredients I'm going to use. They're at my disposal. We live to learn between our means. So I'm not going to put any specific measurements for what you should use for either of these. You just use them at your own risk. Okay? Peace. We need extra virgin olive oil or normal olive oil. Pretend this is a wok. It's not a wok, but this is also what I have at my disposal at this time. So we'll just go ahead and light it. It's having difficulty. Wait. Okay, we're using the wrong one. Oh my god, dude. I'm such a freaking blonde. Okay, it's lit. We'll put this on low. And then we'll put some of this in here and let it heat up and cute. I don't know what's going on outside. Now this is probably going to be too much, but most of it will cook out. Whatever we don't need, we'll I guess cook out. Whatever we need will basically absorb into the bok choy. It's fine. It's fine. This isn't too much, but this is as much as we need. We don't need any more than that. So we'll just heat up, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started on chopping up this thing. Okay, so to chop up this bok choy, you're just gonna chop it like this into 1/2 inch increments, all the way down to here. We're gonna chop it probably all the way here. We're gonna throw all this to the right here. We're gonna throw this out. We'll keep this. I don't know if anyone else technically cooks with this part, but normally I don't use it. I find that to be the most super bitter part of the bok choy, and we don't need it. It should mostly look like this. Again, I had cut off the bottom before doing this, Normally I would probably just keep trimming off, and there's probably more of that flesh that I probably would have used in it, but this is what you should look like. You should have pieces like this, which is fine. We'll leave it like this. So I'm assuming our pot is basically hot enough. So we're gonna go ahead and add our bok choy to this imaginary wok that's not a wok. So depending on what your oven is set to, I guess technically a 5 is a medium. Yes, I know the kitchen is a mess. But anyway, 6 would be pretty much high. So I'll leave this on a 5, in between 5 and 4. I want to cook this down, but I will add some salt and pepper in first. That's usually what I will do it. I'll do it off camera because it's easier. But I like to use about 3 or 5 pinches of salt, probably. Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna basically cook down. So let me do this, and then we can do the next step. Give it a good toss, mixing it around. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add the beer onto it to let it soften up, and then we'll move on to the next step. As well as the rest of this stuff is gonna go into here with the beer. My choice of beer is the Appalachia Session IPA. This is basically the summer brew. We are going to add about, I don't know, about 1/3. That's about 1/3. That might be a little bit more than 1/3. That is definitely more than 1/3, but it's fine. So this will mix up. While this is softening up, we'll go ahead and gather up our ingredients. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add in the sauces first. So sesame seed oil, soy sauce, and I guess sriracha. And then that'll cook with the bok choy, and then we can move on to the next part. But this is going to soften up a bit, but this shouldn't take too long after we've added the beer. We need the beer to cook out first, though, because we don't want to need to give any drunken noodles or anything to anybody. You know what I mean? And now, what you can do with the rest of this beer is you can clearly drink it if you are over the age of 21. Or 18, depending on what state you are. Because technically in Wisconsin, if you are 18 and you have a parent, well, they can just give this to you. If that's still legal. But no, Rei is 30 years old, so, I mean, you can call the cops, but, like, literally, they'll tell you I'm 30, so, I don't know, do what you want. That said, Rei does not condone underage drinking, so do not drink underage. Peace. Okay, adding the sriracha. This is probably more or less than what I can eat. It's a weird angle that we're doing this at, but I do like spicy stuff. And then only a little, that is way too much sesame seed oil. Less than that amount that I just put in. And be generous with the soy sauce. This is fine. That's probably more than what I need, because now it's a little bit too watery. We'll go ahead and mix all this in. This will be fine. And then, this is really thick, but like I said, normally I wouldn't want this thick, but I'll put this into ramen anyway, so just add to the broth later on. But yes, this is actually too watery. I'll let this go on high for 6 and let it cook down a little bit. Maybe it'll start cooking, and I think that'll be it. Again, I'm not used to recording me cooking with food, so I'm not really sure what you're expecting with this. Oh, normally I like to use more red crushed peppers than cayenne and paprika, but I like using more cayenne pepper than paprika. So after we have basically incorporated everything into here, we're going to go ahead and add this in, and then we'll let it sit until everything is basically softened and ready to put into containers and cool down. And that's basically it, I guess. It's not technically my main recipe that I prefer doing, but it is something that I enjoy eating. If you are worried about it being too soggy, because at this point it is super soggy, but this is how I like my bok choy. I like it to be like this soft and not that big of an issue, but you can add more water if you're concerned with it, and then just add rice to it and turn it into a soupy rice broth, if that's also your concern. I think that's going to be it for the vlog, though. Enjoy. I love you all. This is basically my meal prep for the week to put into ramen, and I hope you enjoy it, even though it's half-assed done and not correct. Anyway, enjoy the vlog. Peace. But it took me a hot minute to figure out how to work these things. So this is like a vent. I don't know if I should use the vent, but these are not securely lit. But I'm assuming I should leave the vent on while they're germinating so it retains moisture, and probably close this valve. Yeah, it's closed right now. Now the big issue is like watering this, because you need to bottom water it, right? Well, there's no like slit to like do it. You literally have to pull this up. You'd literally have to pull this out, and then you would have to pour water in there. Now, according to the paperwork, this is what the paperwork says. It says, sowing instructions, sow seeds in starter flats, which is what we're looking at right now, on the surface of the soil. Of the surface of the soil and lightly covered by the soil, keep between 64 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Soil temperature germination will occur between 14 to 21 days. Keep soil moist but not wet. So we don't want to put a whole lot of water in here, but we do want it to be moist, so that's why we have the valve that we're going to close. What's this right here? Water, soil, and sun adaptable to mostly any sunny locations in cooler climates or partial shade in warmer climates. Needs well-drained soil. Germination and growth. Transplant into the garden and plant 6 to 10 inches apart, or leave growing in pots and planterns. Seeds can be directly sown into the ground. So that brings us to this next question. So we have all this real estate here. So we're going to be putting a lot of this Bok Choy down here, as well in this area on the second planter. And whatever doesn't go in either of these, we're going to give to Mom for her to grow, where she has her planterns, you know, up in the loft. And then when we put on our rack. So like I noticed that this was like a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's going to have a high success rate, but we have so many Bok Choy, so I don't think I need to use a second one of these sets, because that'll be too much Bok Choy without me having enough lights to do that. So we'll just go ahead and do something with this set of 5, and we'll go from there. If we need to make more or less, at that point we'll decide what we need to do. Alright, so I got 4 of them set up. We'll go ahead and take these back to the apartment, and then I'll show you how I did this last one in kind of like cam motion. Ultimately, I compact this fully with soil, and then I will use this tool to stick down towards about, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but this one right here is about 1 inch deep. So that's what I stick it down into, and then I pat it all down with my fingertips, pour water in here, put this on top, close this, and we'd be pretty much good. But I'll show you in real time, kind of. I mean, when I mean real time, I mean like step by step, not necessarily recording all the way through and then fast forwarding, because I don't know how to do it with DaVinci Resolve. And I don't know if I can do that for free, to be honest. All right, we have compacted the full soil in. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and stick this in like so. And after we fully get all of these kind of like, you know, like stuck in, you know, I'm really bad with my words, you know, Ray's not too good with what she's really talking about sometimes, you know. So anyway, we're just gonna stick this in, make a hole. We'll take 1 to 2 seeds from our seed packet, this seed packet, 1 to 2, and we'll stick them into each hole. And after we're done trying to stick everything in everything, we'll cover it up, and I'll show you how we'll do that as well. So my hands are a little bit full, so I may be putting a little bit more. Oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna mess this up, you know, because I can't really record, but ideally we're gonna put 2 in each Oh my god, let me do that before I mess up my whole thing as I already did. You know, the whole freaking sun here is in my way, so it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. But ideally, we're going to try and get these corners in and then pat it down with a finger. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if you can hear that noise, but it's really freaking me up. So yeah, so you see how I'm doing this and I'm pushing it down. I'll show you one more time. So each corner, and then we're gonna go ahead and just dab it down so I can see what I'm doing accurately. I'm gonna go ahead and put the phone down so I can go ahead and do this at the same time, but you see the technique. All right, so I pour water into the pan here. You don't need a whole lot of water. This is basically how you're gonna feed your starts, which is this thing. It's going to suck up the water from up here and dampen the soil. The soil's already damp. It's already moist. We don't need to do anything to it. We just need to go ahead and put this in here and here. And we shouldn't have to water too much because it's indoors and it's not in the sunlight. But yeah, let me go ahead and do that. So it is in the tray. Put in the top right. Actually, let me clean this off right here. Put the lid back on right here. I'm not sure if we need to close this or leave it open, but I'm gonna leave it closed for a few days and then we'll probably open it up. I know we don't want it to get really hot and moisturized, but I think this is probably good for the first few days, having some humidity in there. All right, and here we are in the freaking living room. Now, I'll be honest, I have no idea how well this experiment is going to turn out. What I will say is I'm gonna keep them all devented for about 3 days each. This one will stay for 3, this will stay for 4, 5, 6, and 7, or 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think what the goal is to leave them with the seal on, like I guess during the mornings, and then let it loose during the afternoons. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about this. Like, I don't even know if I really need to leave this top on and just remove it totally exposed to the elements. Like, I feel like this is probably the best source to germinate because while this will leave a good moist environment, it'll keep it cool. It won't suffocate it. It has to be within germination of 65 to 75 Fahrenheit, which is basically my house, my apartment. And there are 2 bears right down there. Can you see that? Can you see that? Look at those bears. Those are freaking bears, man. What the freaking hell, dude? There are freaking bears. Can I take a picture of this? What the hell? Oh my god, dude. You know, I'm messing with my garden and I don't even realize that there's freaking black bears just roaming around like early evening. Like, holy, dude. That's freaking insane, bro. I don't even know what to freaking say. Holy cow, dude. That black bear. I'm kind of scared to go back outside, but, you know, I gotta pull weeds. I don't know where the other one went to. I know the other one's just chilling out there. Do you see that, bro? They literally just climbed a freaking tree. Yeah, I gotta go this way so I can pull my weeds, but I don't really want to mess with those people. I thought it was 2 bears. It turns out to be 3 bears. Holy shit, dude. I just want to fucking pull my weeds in peace. Okay, so as you know, the goal now, after we've, you know, had enough of disruptions with wildlife animals, is to pull these weeds out now that we don't need them because they're going to choke up the soil and we don't want that to happen to kill any other more of our vegetables and our crops. And to check to see if these radishes are ready to prune and pull out. Okay, so you know how, like, I'm in my garden, I'm pulling out weeds. And I'm talking about bears. Well, the bears are right there, and I'm just trying to like work here. Can y'all like not mess with me, please? I just wanna. So, post-editing with Rei. I didn't record this because, as you can see very closely, if you haven't seen it, but the mama bear was headed towards my direction. She kind of like spooked me a little bit, so I went and turned off my recording. I stopped recording, and then she just came up there. She came up to my to my garden when I was right there, and I had to step back a little bit. Like, I had to give like a huge wide berth for Mama Bear. And I guess she really wanted to see what was in my garden. I told her that they were pumpkins, but they didn't grow any pumpkins. And I told her and her cubs to just come back later. Here's a current picture of what my pumpkin patch looks like on the 10th of September. I took it in the early evening. I didn't really have a specific time, but they should be growing pumpkins soon as female flowers start blooming, and the male flowers can pollinate the female flowers, which I don't know when that's going to be, but when that happens, there will be pumpkins growing, and black bears love pumpkins. All right, so back to the rest of the video. My heart rate is racing, but I think as long as I leave the bears alone, I will be left alone. So I will just continue picking out the weeds from my garden and hope that they do not eat my garden. They probably will, though. Oh my God. The mama bear went and took her 4 cubs to the backyard of this house. They have a small dog, by the way, so I hope they don't let the dog out and the dog gets eaten. But we are going to keep our distance from one another. So she took the cubs that way. And I'm going to chill and finish up my garden before, the sun, gets any darker than what it does. And those bears are going to have a field day playing in that yard over there with all those little toys and everything. And we're just going to do our own thing and chill the fuck out, So yeah, I'm safe. I don't think they're going to mess with me. I think they realize that I'm a friend and I'm not an enemy, and I'm a friend of the wild, since Rei is a freaking druid, yo. And don't tell anyone else that I'm not a druid, because I am most definitely a druid if I got balls of steel and I sounded completely calm. Again, that may be because I'm autistic and I'm an autistic woman and I have autism, and I just don't get scared too easily from bears over yonder. I love bears, by the way. Those are my mom's spirit animal. My spirit animal is a raccoon while we're at it. So let me finish this up. I'll probably take a shower afterwards and then probably call it a day. The sun is basically setting, and everything in that plot right there basically died. This is my first time ever planting. I never went into this expecting, after doing all the research, that everything that I planted would grow. Of course, there are some things I could have done a lot better, like identify, what's a weed and what's not a weed, and pull out those weeds and do proper spacing within the roots of that soil so everything had a fair chance to grow. Of course, it doesn't help that there are predators like rabbits here and bears that are eating my crops. But for the most part, that's a full plant turn right there, thick and through, for bok choy to be used. And there are some things there that are still growing. The celery will basically be there as fodder for the rabbits. But there is some flowers growing there. It may not have been the marigolds that I wanted, but there are flowers there. They're called morning glories. These are morning glories, by the way. I have a few of them in the corner. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think 5 right there. So before the sun goes any down, we're gonna go ahead and see what is under these radishes. If there are no fruits to be held, we will leave them in place. I just want to see if there's anything here. Can we find anything? while digging. To answer your question, there's nothing but roots. But this is good because we can now actually put these roots down somewhere where they need to be put at. Let's probably do the same for these. Let's pull these roots out without breaking them and damaging them. We're probably damaging them, but it's fine. This is what happens when you don't properly space your stuff. This is why they tell you to, like, germinate your slips. Because you never know what's going to happen with your soil. So now we can properly space these out. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we have all of this space to cover. Let me pull some of this out, and then we can start figuring the rest of this out. These are all my slips that we're going to use. I think this is how I'm going to do it. I dug out 2 sowing lines. I'm going to put these slips down like this and cover them over. It may be too late to save these, and they may not be able to re-sprout. And if that is the case and they die, well, that is a learning lesson for Rei to learn in the future. And that's definitely probably the case that happened to my kale, aside from the overwatering that has happened over the last couple weeks that has made growing anything essentially unbearable as is. Let me cover these up and hope for the best, y'all. Well, this is the best I can do. It is in the fate of their hands and the heart of their value, whether they are strong enough to survive and recuperate. If they don't, then I've come to terms that they will die, and I will have a huge planter to use propagated Bok Choy's, seedlings in within 12 days. And that's just kind of how things go. These are learning lessons for me to adapt, relearn, and, regrow. These are things for me to learn and adapt from and then overcome for future farming expertise or training, or however you want to put it. I'm pretty sure even the hardiest farmers struggle quite a bit. And that's just part of the whole freaking grind. That's going to be it for the vlog. I'll clean up this area off camera, and that'll be it. If you enjoyed the vlog, it's been really long. I really had fun recording all of this these past few days. I'll see y'all in quite a while and see what turns out and what grows and where. And if you made it this far into the video, a comment, like, and subscribe will all be appreciative.